Hi, I'm Michelle Cromer.
And I'm Perla Maldonado.
And you've tuned in to our show, Creating a Meaningful Life. We're so honored that you're here. Today's topic is really important to all of us, I think, that live in the United States, and that is the activation of the Advocate Archetype. We're really seeing it, but I think the first thing we should know is what is an archetype, right?
Yeah, I meant to ask you, like, are you born with an archetype?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Carl Jung is really the person that is known to introduce this into our vernacular. And I studied with Carolyn Mace and have an archetype certification because she kind of brought it into the mainstream. But yeah, Perla, we're born, they say, with 12 archetypes. Like, for example, one of yours is definitely the Queen. She was a really good business executive. And I know for sure you're a caretaker.
Yeah,
definitely.
You don't have to like that archetype. Yeah.
That's right. You can hardly change it. And I'm a warrior archetype and a queen archetype and a brighter archetype. All of that.
So it could change, like, depending on what's going on in your life.
Yeah. So you have 12. So I can guarantee you, if you have an archetype that's like, which I am not. I am not a princess archetype, but if you're dating, you're starting on that first date, that princess archetype is really activated. Your rebel archetype may be in the corner, but that's, so they come out when they need to. And our country was built on the advocate archetype. It's in our Constitution.
So an archetype is the way you act, the way you feel.
It's a pattern, yes, it's a pattern of behavior that really mimics whatever that archetype is. So for example, I mentioned that I was a warrior archetype. Well, I'm not certainly going to war like my son, who's also a warrior archetype, but when I got cancer, I was not going to lay down on that. I wanted to make sure that I was the warrior. So your archetypes are activated at a time in your life when they really need to show up. And so the advocate archetype may not be, all the volunteer work I've done with homeless children, may not be your archetype, but because it's the United States arc, and we are all following under that umbrella, that's why we're seeing the advocate archetype of the United States front and center. You've seen it.
And do you think it has to do with the fact that July 4th is the birth date of the United States?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I feel like throughout history and in our Constitution, we have the right
to protest,
for a peaceful protest, and we've seen that. Remember the '60s? Well, I was a kid. We were both kids in the early '60s when that movement. But we saw that really being activated, and so here we are again. Can you believe what was it? The final count: 12 million people.
They say 12 to 13 million. Yeah.
Got out across the United States in cities that you would never think would protest.
And most of it was peaceful.
Most of it was a peaceful protest. And so if you're feeling this and you're wondering, wait a minute, I've never done a protest in my life. Why am I feeling this? It is because that is what is needed right now, because you're feeling that you can help with the voice, to be a voice to the voiceless. That you can actually stand up and say, if they can't go, I can go. And we were talking about this, and Perla and I would typically protest together, but she's Hispanic, and if she goes out to the protests that I go to,
I would probably be targeted,
and ICE could pick her up. And that's just the world we're living in right now. Mm-hmm. So Perla made a really good point that you said a lot of people look like me out there.
By the way, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Always has been.
Always born here.
But it doesn't matter sometimes, right?
Yeah, just the
profiling.
The profile, yeah.
So Perla you want to talk about what we were talking about? You said,
when you're out there protesting, if you're non-Hispanic, if you're non-LGBT,
GPT,
and if you are like Michelle, white, you're probably the person that needs to go out there and fight and protest
because we're safe.
They're safe. Nobody's going to bug you.
And that's what I think has been so impressive to me.
Yes.
Is that we have people that have never held a sign in their life. They've never gathered with a group in their life. We've been doing this for a long time, but these people are novices, and that advocate archetype is really being illuminated right now. So this is happening to you. I'm giving you permission to say, okay, I understand. I'm a part of a bigger whole, and I am making a difference. And you don't have to have a big following on a podcast or TikTok. You can just quietly
You can go out there and protest. You can support people who protest.
That's right.
If you can't get out for whatever reason, you can pray for people who are protesting. You could send good energy.
Right.
so that it could stay peaceful and everybody will be safe.
But the great thing about this is we're in the middle of a country of chaos, but it's a personal awakening. And think about this, I read this somewhere where if there were 12 million or 13 million people on one day protesting, all we need is, or in statistical history, 3.8 of the general population. We're at 3.5. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of people that are feeling the need to get out there and speak. And you don't have to have a megaphone. You don't have to go viral, just like we were talking about. Just do what you feel your heart needs you to do. So
there were people out there, and I don't remember what city this was, but they turned it into a party. They were singing, they were parading.
Did you see the old folks home where they had their little crowns on and they went out? They were adorable. And we're not even talking about politics here. You could be an advocate for the earth, or like Perla is for animals, or for whatever your heart feels like you need to be.
The point is, we think that you're feeling it, and
right.
And this is why.
Just ask yourself, what breaks my heart? And for me, it has always been, the migrants that used to come in between the ages of 5 and 17, I would go and volunteer because they've been trafficked for the sex trade. And having a daughter that died, that connected me to my grief in a meaningful way. And I will always help children for that reason. That's my heart. That's my advocate archetype. So this is being activated in all of us. So just figure out what it is that we need to do, because ultimately living a meaningful life means
being active
and living an engaged life.
Yes.
So we're giving you all permission to go out there and peacefully protest, and we're proud of you for doing so. We'd love to hear your stories. And until next time, be bold and be kind and be brave.
Be engaged.
And be engaged. And if you like this, please, if you like the video, like it and share it. We'd love to see you next time. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.